Well, hey there, YouTube. It's Petey Two Finger, and I've got the lights off. I'm reading from Tape Op. This is the Creative Music Recording Magazine, number 143, June July issue of 2021. And this article is a guy by the name of Steven Wilson. Steven Wilson is from Porcupine Tree, and he also has been remixing a lot of prog rock, great prog rock, classic prog rock albums. He's been doing these incredible mixes, which the industry has praised Steven Wilson. So I'm going to read they're talking about plugins. The AB, excuse me? Someone's making an incredible lot of noise, so we'll let them finish up. And he's talking about the AKG BX20 Spring Reverb plugin. A lot of the spatial plugins on the UAD platform, the Capital Chambers, I've heard of those before. And the Ocean Way Studios Room. And he says, I love the Ocean Way Studios plugins. Interesting thing is, I'll come around to where I'll do mixes in the box, meaning in the computer, and then people think I'm using all sorts of analog and my console, which means his mixing board. And he says, totally. This is where there's a lot of knee-jerk people react and say, oh, you can't mix analog in digital. Well, they're a little bit out of date. 10 years ago, digital mixes, maybe they didn't sound that good. But now, with things like UA Oxide tape recorder plugin and the Ocean Way Studios, to put a little bit of room around the sounds, we're at a stage where digital recording has caught up with analog. I reckon I could fool most people with an A/B test, and I haven't put it to the test. So if you are coming off a 24 or 16 track 2-inch tape, it will actually smear the sound more to go back through a console. Totally, he says. Which can be good, don't get me wrong, every technique has a place. With a lot of the Elliott Smith work, it'll be 4 or 8 track sources. I'm not going to set up a console and add more noise. I'm going to try to keep it pristine to what is there. I find that helps. And he responds, yeah, you're right. Another thing is that a lot of these analog purists miss sometimes is a lot of these albums were mixed on bad equipment. Jethro Tull's Aqualung was famously mixed onto a faulty tape machine that hadn't been lined up properly. It sounds very flat and not very good. I had another project I was mixing, a classic album which had been mixed on a tape machine that was gradually slowing down. So it was about a quarter of a semitone sharp by the end of the track. The analog purists can love all that shit if they want, but the bottom line is, for me, is I'm trying to do it the way the artist would have clearly done if they would have been able to do so at the time. You can be a purist about it, but if the artist is telling me, I always hated how we did this because we were using this faulty thing and that faulty thing. There's a famous Studio King Crimson use called Command Studios. Robert Fripp said it was the worst studio in London, but it was the only one they could book when they were doing Lark's Tongues and Aspect. They knew it sounded terrible, but there was nothing they could do. For him, being able to remix was an opportunity to bring that album sonically up to the standard that he always felt it had lacked. There's something that the purists sometimes miss. The fact that the artists themselves had problems, limitations, faulty equipment, and dodgy studios. With the continuation of this thought, how much do you oversee mastering and keep an eye on it? Even with your new record, I've got WAV files and Pro Tools, and I can see they're not smashed. There's still quite a bit of dynamics retained. He says, it's funny, I went through a phase for about 5 years, and I still do this with some projects where I will not allow mastering at all. Particularly with a lot of my classic album remixes for Jethro Tull, yes, XTC, none of it was mastered. It came directly off my output bus, and I'm doing a little bit to it on the way out. I've got a UAD precision limiter to take out not more than 2 or 3 dB. I've got the oxide tape plug-in that makes it sound better to me. Not always, but sometimes. I deliver the mixes, and that's the way they go out on the Blu-ray and CD. I figure these albums are bought by people listening to them on presumably quite good home stereos or as surround mixes. These aren't mixes I'm doing for the radio, so they don't need to sound louder than everyone else. They're going to be listened to people by people who care about sonic excellence. Why do I need to have them compressed, limited, EQ'd, or mastered in any way? I have that with the Future Bites. Bob Ludwig mastered it for me. It's more of an electronic album, and it's slightly out of my comfort zone in this respect, but also I wanted to do more pop. I wanted it to pop on the radio. The first one he did for me had a dynamic range of about 8. I don't know if you get into this world of dynamic range ratings. So here we have Steven Wilson, who is considered a studio wizard. This is the guy that's remixing all of the these incredible classic rock and roll albums that people hold up at the peak, and he's saying exactly what I've been saying for quite some time now, which is, please stop with the fucking analog and tape bullshit. Just stop, okay?